Welcome to the Smart Business Show. This is episode 162 for April 13th. And today we're going to be talking about an email I got from Mario. So let me read the beginning of the email to you. It says, I started my business development shop last year and hired 2 developers to help me with projects. I want to grow my business. Lately, I'm getting trouble to get more leads and projects, and now most of my revenue gets spent on salaries and not much is left for me. Sometimes I'm frustrated that I do have a business, but now I have less time for my family and less money than if I had been an employee. So I absolutely get it. This is pretty common. I asked them 3 questions, actually. And the 3 questions are, first, how are you specialized? The second is, what type of projects do you excel at? And the third is, what does your marketing look like? I actually should have asked them 2 more questions, which I did not. And the other 2 words, what type of project do you love most and what type of projects are most profitable for you? So this is really common for most freelancers. They are, most people starting a business, they start and they get an initial rush of clients and they're feeling like it's great and they keep doing the work and that there's no marketing then going, like there's just nothing really happening. Later on, Mario says that the way he's getting leads really is by talking to other developers at user groups and stuff, which is good. That's a good source of leads, but that can't be your only source. And especially if you're not a specialist in something, like you don't even know who to send something to, right? There was someone contacted me about a fairly technical WooCommerce project yesterday, and I looked through it and said, well, I could do it, but I don't really want to do it. That's not exactly how I want to frame my business. And I knew exactly who to send it to. I sent it to my friend Daniel Espinoza. It took 2 seconds to know who to send that to. If someone said, oh, I have a whole bunch of email work to do in Drip or in ConvertKit or something like that, I know exactly who I would send that to. If it's more than just the basics that I would do, I know there's no question I would send that to Jason Resnick, right? If someone said, hey, I've got a bunch of weird programming, like I have a WordPress site, but I need like a JavaScript style site for some weird controller for this other thing in my business, I'd send it to my friend John because he's done that stuff. He is like, that's what he would do. He built JavaScript sites that sit inside these little like screens for manufacturing components. That's what I'd send it to. Someone says SEO, particularly if it's SEO for a manufacturing firm, I'd send it to my other friend, John Locke. That's what I'd send it to because they're specialized. I know who to send it to, right? Someone says, our server keeps crashing. We can't figure it out quite. And we know we have these other issues. We need to dig in and need a full code audit. I'd probably send that to my friend Jonathan at Oddjar. Right? Someone says HubSpot, I'd send it to my friend Ashley. That's why I'd send these to because I know they're specialized. I know exactly what they do. So if you're not specialized, no one knows exactly what to send you. No one gets a project and says, oh, this is exactly for Mario because Mario does, he says he does .NET, I think it was, right? And he does that. That's the project I sent to him, right? Someone said ERP stuff. I sent it to my friend Matthew in England because he does ERP stuff. At least start with him. So what are you specialized in? So at the bottom of this in the show notes, there's actually going to be a bunch of resources. Jason Resnick recently put out a great podcast on the step-by-step guide to specialization. He also did one a couple weeks back with Sarah Dunn. And Sarah Dunn didn't just fall into her niche. It's not one of those stories where it's, just more clients kept coming to me in this area, so I started doing that. It was not that. She went out to a wedding boutique show or something like this, and listen to the podcast to get the exact details, but she went out to it and realized that, hey, this is something I can do. They're asking all these questions that they think are like super difficult and I think they're basic. And she looked at a few sites and then she said, I do wedding stuff. That's what she does. And she says it's been great. Like she's been continuing to get more clients in that and it's been great for her. My friend Philip has a great email course at philipmorganconsulting.com. Again, the link is in the show notes. Called the Positioning Crash Course that will help you position your development business. This is what Philip does, right? When we're talking about coaching, Philip is best at this maybe, right? I'm best at like really the second part of this question where I don't have time for me and my family and my business takes all the time. Like that's what I am best at. I remember talking to Philip a couple of months ago and talking to Philip and another friend of ours, and we were talking about, how do you manage your time? And like halfway through the conversation, I could see him furiously writing, and I was like, what are you doing, Philip? He's like, oh, this is like a master's degree in how to like manage your time well and how to stay on track and how to stay focused and how to pick the right tasks. He was like impressed with so that's what I'm best at, right? So I also wrote a while ago, I wrote a series on finding your niche and I wrote a book on finding your niche. The book is called Finding and Marketing to Your Niche, where I evaluate web developer sites. Specifically, there's a bunch of WordPress development sites in there where I'm like, hey, this is what's wrong with your site. You say you do WordPress. Everybody does WordPress. Nobody cares. Right? You don't stand out that way. You are just special like everybody else. So go through that. So even today. So today I'm recording this in an hour or two. My review of Badass Your Brand comes out as well. It's a little critical, but mostly because of their email webinar marketing tactics, because and one of the questions they ask in the book is, what do you stand against? And I stand against that type of junk that they were doing. So, but otherwise the book's really good. The questions are really good in it. I would say get the questions, sign up to the email to get the questions, to get that workbook for it. And it's really good. It's a good workbook to go through. I've incorporated some of the questions into my boot camp, which has a whole section on finding your niche. So even though I say I'm not the best at it, I help people find their niche. I help people narrow it down and help people really talk about it, right? I helped my friend, my friend John Locke. I helped him when we were talking and coaching and saying, hey, John, you need to pick your niche. And he let go of some bad clients and found good clients immediately. He says this in the testimonial on my site. So don't be embarrassed if you're at this part. If you're not specialized, if you don't really have marketing to speak of, just come up with a plan. What are you going to do next week to get closer to your niche? What are you going to do next week to have a plan for your marketing? That's it. And then the week after that, what is the next thing you're going to do? What's the next thing you're going to test? What's the next thing you're going to try? And to keep trying, keep testing things, right? I continue to hammer out on this podcast, on this video podcast on YouTube. I've started another one around membership sites, which publishes Thursday morning. I publish that every Thursday now for 2 weeks, but I publish that every Thursday where I'm talking specifically about membership stuff. There'll be a little bit of code in there. There'll be a little bit of, more technical stuff, but it's mostly going to be two business owners talking about membership stuff. That's it. It's not going to be some deep, dark technical thing. I'm not sure where I'm going to put that stuff, the deep, dark technical stuff, but it's not going to be on my business site, because that's not necessarily what I want to be known as. I don't want all the developers coming to me for these things. I want business owners, I want users, people who are starting membership sites coming to me. This is another experiment for me to see how that works in my specialization and me standing out. And it's just a little bit slower road, right? Podcasting, video work on YouTube, blogging is a slower road, but it builds up over time, right? Having 1,500, maybe 1,600 blog posts, that built up over time, over 10 years. A lot of it in the last 5. That's why people come to me to get their business back on track so they can have more time with their family, right? That's the specialization I say, right? Business shouldn't take up all your time. You should be able to hang out with your kids. That's what I say for my tagline, for my specialization in coaching. So don't be upset. Don't be embarrassed. Just do something next week about it. Thanks for watching.